all right, on NVIDIA, I just want to get the discussion. Well, what should people be doing here? Huge gains. So where do you start? How do you, okay, obviously it seems like massive guidance. This seems to be the winner in the hottest field and all that. So the question is, where do you take profits, or where do you say, like, when do I say I'm going to let it ride? I mean, what's the thinking here? This one feels like more than just, oh, it's like some hot story stock. There's something really big momentum, but obviously at some point you have to sell it. So I'm going to start with you, David, just because I know you like to hold long-term winners. You've got, these big bets that you make sometimes, are big, or bets, not necessarily enormous bets, but bets on things that you think, I've got a long-term strategy here. So what's your mindset with something like this?
Well, right now I'm thinking of how to get back in the shares that I sold in the recent days. So it is still, one of my largest positions. I believe it's still the second largest position for my own personal accounts. And at this point, I'm wondering, over the next 2 weeks, is it going to do a short stroke like Research in Motion did? Is it going to just form another base because the market is under pressure for various reasons? Is it going to have a eventual bounce off the 21-day? I think that's probably out of the question for actually a long time. So I think at this point, let's look at the weekly chart and then go to the monthly chart. And on the daily chart, we are close to 100% above the 200-day moving average. So after a nice run, we typically see any kind of stock, including NVIDIA, make a significant pullback. That 100% to 150% jump above the 200-day is not a outright sell signal per se, but it is something to be very, very wary of, because you got a stock that's pretty much tripled off the lows, right? Maybe even more than simply up 200%. So my best guess here, Ed, is that it's going to form a base that is well in the upper half of that gigantic bottoming base, and it's going to present more opportunities, because I think the management is truly top class. They're delivering. Look at that massive institutional ownership. That is still, at least in terms of mutual funds, that's well below what you see for Microsoft or for Apple. So to me, I think there is still a lot of potential, and it feels like they have the momentum to join the $1 trillion club. Now let's go to a monthly chart, and if you go there, you can see that when the stock has some incredible runs, it lasts for years, and we're just coming out of a very unusual bull bear market cycle, very, very compressed, right? COVID, and then massive liquidity courtesy of the Fed, and then the second fastest rate hike cycle in modern monetary history. So there's a lot to digest there. However, you can see that when the stock went to all-time highs, not just multi-year highs, in 2016, 2017, that was a really nice run. The company has proven it can do that. So I want to really give NVIDIA as much of a chance to do what some of the ultra special stocks, that is Cisco, Apple, Dell, Microsoft, and and others have done. Home Depot, not just the techs, but Home Depot and others.
Any other thoughts, Justin or Harold? What would you be doing? Because again, this is a great problem to have. If you've got a stock that is up like 100%, 200%, 300%, seems to have tremendous business momentum, but as I think David makes a good point. It would be logical that at some point it would have some kind of consolidation in the short run. Do you want to go through it? How do you handle things like this, Justin?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think first you have to kind of start off with what your goals are and your tolerance for drawdowns, because again, if there is an expectation that this could base, and that would be completely normal for it to do, or even pull back. Look, it's just gotten into all-time high territory, and so a little bit of a drift down here would be very normal. So that's again one of the risks of if you try and add here, or initiate a position up here and that, little pullback happens, then what do you do? Because, it could easily pull back 8% from here. I mean, heck, if you bought it at the high, you're already looking at, a couple percent, down. So it's very, you have to be prepared for that, and have your game plan ahead of time. So if you have the tolerance and the cushion in this case to kind of sit with that, then, and you think that NVIDIA is where it's at, then yeah, you can hold on to this and get more of a gain. And a few of the things that you can do, because I still think it's important that you have a line in the sand somewhere. And this kind of depends on what your, what your kind of long-term goal here is with NVIDIA. And we've had a lot of different guests on that have shared their stuff. I mean, like, Kathy Donnelly, she has her mental capital preservation where she's willing to give up a lot for these things in order to get that big gain. That's one way of doing it. Other folks are like, hey, you know what? I'm not willing to give up that much. I'm going to use some shorter term moving average lines. I mean, Kathy Donnelly is using the 200-day moving average line. Other people might be saying, okay, well, I'm going to use the 21-day moving average line, and right now there's a lot of distance that this has above its 21-day moving average line. So yes, you would be giving up a lot, but pretty soon that 21-day moving average line is going to be catching up. You're going to see that kind of skyrocket over the next few days and catch up there. So if it comes down too much, you can choose a moving average line that's appropriate to your time frame to either stay in this or take, keep the profit. So there's nothing that says that you have to let this come all the way back down and fill in the gap and be no better off than you were yesterday on the stock. So for some people that would be their mental capital preservation level. Hey, I don't want to lose this gap. So there's just a lot of different ways to play it, and I think that really comes down to a personal plan. But the most important thing is that you have to have some type of plan, because if you just go off of, oh well, as long as it's acting right, it's fine. That's great, but what if it starts acting funny, or what if it starts coming in? You have to have that plan of, okay, here's my line in the sand, and if it crosses this, then I'm going to be doing something. And remember, it doesn't have to be all or nothing decisions. You could be taking some off at the with this gap to just lock in some profits. You could be taking some off if it does start crossing some of the shorter term moving average lines. The 10-day moving average line is something that we've used before on leaderboard. If we have like a big gain on something, 20-25%, but we want to see if we can get some more, we'll just use the 10-day moving average line and see if we can eke out a little bit more of a gain if it can hold above that level. So yeah, again, there's a lot of ways to play it, but the most important thing is you have to have what is your plan.
And Harold, what's your plan? I mean, I want to get your take on this as well.
Well, my plan, I do have a position in NVIDIA. I got in at around 281. So now I have to figure out, okay, well, I don't want to wait until it comes down to a moving average. That's be giving up a lot. So I was looking at a weekly chart. I was looking at the all-time highs. That might be my line in the sand, or that would be my ultimate line in the sand. Another line in the sand will be today's lows. So if it starts giving back too much of the gains it had today, then it gets down, starts trading below today's lows, then I'm going to start taking some off the table. But that trend line you just drew, that'll probably be my ultimate line in the sand where I say I'm just going to just get out and be satisfied with the gain if it gets down to that level.
Yeah, and so obviously you can see there's different ways of thinking about it, and obviously, there's the market, there's other things, there's the size of your position, there's all sorts of things, but you have to come up with your own things. There's not necessarily a right way to do it. Obviously, buying the right stock really makes a lot of things work out. I mean, if you say, oh no, I sold for a quick 50% gain, oh no, and he held on for an 80%, 180% gain, it's like, oh, you're both winners. I mean, you want to try to get as much as possible, but are different strategies. So thank you, I appreciate that.